Good morning. Welcome to Janet's Corner. I'm Janet, and this is my corner. Anyhow, it's September 30th, and today I'm going to attempt to share a little bit of art history that has to do with the 1-point and 2-point perspective that we use today, and where those ideas come from. Italian Renaissance art, I was lucky enough to take that course years ago. That's where I learned who Saint Francis of Assisi was. I had no clue who he was. I know that with a Catholic background, there's more of a chance of knowing who Saint Francis of Assisi is. And with that, with Saint Francis of Assisi, the art that was produced years and years ago in, let's see, right after, about the Duecento, most of the art was Byzantine and made up of mosaics and patterns, and very flat. And Saint Francis of Assisi, he come along and let everybody know that we can produce what we see, represent the world around us in the round. And from there, we see in Giotto's work, he's an artist, a very early Italian Renaissance, and we'll see the frescoes, the people being painted in the round. Instead of flat, they're round. And later on, we'll see 1-point perspective, Masaccio. Now I brought some examples up here. Masaccio, I was surprised to see the 1-point perspective. I was surprised to see Sandro Botticelli, the Annunciation here. And Masaccio up here, and the white marks up here are the radiating marks off of the vanishing point. The vanishing point being in the center of the picture, and I'll explain about the vanishing point. And also the horizon. Over here, we got the vanishing point very low in the painting. And to create that 1-point perspective, create that depth. That depth is created, we have everything radiating off of the 1 point. I draw over here, say I'm drawing a landscape. These are pictures that I pulled out of, let's see, railroad, things that are 1-point perspective. Creating that depth. And if I put my horizon way down here, that'll make it appear that we're looking up at the object, or in Masaccio's case, the Christ Jesus. And we're looking upward. That vanishing point is sitting very low on the horizon. If we move that horizon up here and put the vanishing point up here, and then we're looking down on our subject. Let's see, I don't have anything with a high vanishing point. Oh yeah, the pier up here. That would be, the horizon is pretty much splitting it in half, and whenever we're drawing, it's a good idea to either push that horizon up above the halfway mark or down below. If you want to talk more about the pier, we're going to push that horizon near the top of our format. And this will be my vanishing point. So everything's going to come off of this one vanishing point. The pier is going to come off that vanishing point, and to create that depth, it's going to be wider at the bottom than at the top. And I see people drawing highways. And that's pretty much flattening the space. But if you use 1-point perspective, this other line, bring it off the same point, and then all of a sudden this path recedes back into space. Let's see, Masaccio, I talked about him. What was really interesting over here in this, I don't know if you can see it, but over here in this one, the Madonna and Child, the architecture in the back, the Vanishing Point sits right in front of the Christ Child head. So everything, the architecture, the lines radiate off of the child, off of the Christ Child. And I really like the columns, the 1 point perspective, Piero della Francesca, and he was later in the 1400s, the Quattrocento. And anyway, the use of 1 point perspective down here, and Masaccio, he was one of the first ones to use it, to incorporate it into his paintings. Massolino, this one was done with Massolino, and right here you can see the vanishing point is pretty much at the center of this picture. And then all the architecture, the lines radiate off of that vanishing point. And here, highway, we got a highway going back into the distance. And to push that perspective, not only creating depth with your 1 point perspective, let's see, overlap. If you have overlap down here, you put a bush, and it's big. And we'll have it overlapping the horizon. And go up here, and overlap the horizon. That tells you that this bush is in front of it, it's out in front, it's closest to you. And the size of it is big. So we know that it's way out here in front of everything. Here's another bush. And the placement, the further down on the format, the closer it's gonna appear to you, or to create that illusion of the object being closer to you. Of course, we're gonna have detail here, and then in the back, in the distance, not much detail. Let's see, with the pier here, you notice that the vertical boards on the fence get closer and closer as you get, let's see, closer to the vanishing point. They're closer, and then they get wider apart with more detail. And wider apart. And the same thing happens with telephone lines. Let's see, a fence, a wall going back into the distance. That's your 1 point perspective. Also formats, different formats. This one caught my eye because the format was not portrait or landscape. It was cut irregularly. And then down here is my lines radiating off of the center, or where the horizon sets. The horizon sets right here. I like the arches. They appear like they're going back into the distance, and then later on we'll draw arches. Here, let's see, last week we did a little bit of enlarging, I forgot to mention that. Let's see, we also transferred images. But today, with pencil and paper, maybe find a picture of a highway, a pier, a railroad track, and later on we can always add a figure to that. Adding a figure, remembering that if your figure is down here close to the bottom, they're going to be nice and tall. They're going to be very, very big. Let's put him down here. put a person further back in space, we're not gonna draw them down here. We're gonna put them, probably put their feet about right there. They're gonna be a lot shorter than he is. The person probably right here, they're gonna be a lot smaller. Because if we take the horizon and put the vanishing point here, come out like this, and then also the lines get closer back here, and then I'm going to go twice that size, and then I'm going to go twice this size, so that we know if this person is standing down here, and then if we want somebody to stand in the distance, bring them up on the next line. They're gonna, coming off of this point, let's see, his head's gonna probably be right here, so then he would be in the distance. Here. And placement of figures, we'll do more of that whenever we do the 2-point perspective, and probably introduce that the next week. Not sure how much time I have today. Anyway, we covered a little bit of art history with St. Francis of Assisi. He provided us a platform, letting the artists know that they could go out and represent the world around them, reproduce that world as we see it. And the ideas in back of that, the religious ideas in back of all the art back then. And now, let's see, that's about it. I think I covered everything. And anyhow, hopefully I'll see you next week. Let's see, 2-point perspective. I talk about composition, texture, drawing clouds and trees. They're very textural. And today, I don't believe I forgot anything. Let's see, perspective, let's see, 1 point, Oh, the different formats, Round, and that would make for a nice oceanscape with a storm. Bring your ocean down here. I use round formats a lot. And then diptychs, two frames together, having one image span both of them, or a triptych. And have a landscape span across 3 canvases, or 3 frames. And I'm probably bring in an example of that, a diptych, a triptych, irregular format like we see over here. Anyhow, that's about it for today, and thank you so much, and thank you, Maria, for helping me out here.